name is Dr. Jack Baker, and I wanted to welcome you to EDU 533, Western Cultural Heritage in Literature. I want to tell you a little bit about myself before we get started with the course. I did my undergraduate studies at Cornerstone University in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and I studied philosophy and worldview studies and had a minor in ancient languages, Greek and Hebrew, and I really struggled with those languages then. But I decided to go on to graduate school in medieval studies, and that requires a lot of language work. So I had to get over my problems with language and very quickly found out that medievalists need language. So I took several language courses, and my expertise at that time was in Old and Middle English language and literature, and that led me to my PhD in English literature and language at Purdue University, where I studied Old Norse, Old English, and Middle English.
Nushulan, Herjan, Heaven reaches word, meo todis mechta, on this
During my time as an undergraduate and graduate student, I found there was a thread in my interests that was kind of woven throughout all that I did, and that was my interest in mythology and story. And I decided, one of the reasons I went into medieval studies was I really enjoyed the works of J.R.R. Tolkien and C.S. Lewis, and I said, what did these guys do for a living? I want to find out what they did because they wrote amazing works. And so I found out they were both medievalists. J.R.R. Tolkien was actually an Anglo-Saxonist, so he studied Old English language and literature. He was a philologist, and C.S. Lewis was a medievalist himself. And their love of literature and their love of classical and medieval literature led them to write works that they said they couldn't find anywhere else, that others weren't writing. So they just said, let's write them ourselves, and they did that. So my interest in that really stems from those two authors, and this course in some ways is built around the idea of myth and story. And so this semester we'll be looking at classical myths, we'll be looking at classical stories, and we'll be following those through the ages, through the medieval period and into the modern period. And you'll notice in our syllabus that while we begin with Homer, with the Iliad and the Odyssey, we end with Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Lightning Thief, which you'll know right away is children's literature. And we will see in a text like that just how important it is for us as educators to understand classical heritage and to understand where our ideas in literature, in philosophy, and in story all come from. One of my goals in this course was to save you all some money. So I've made a significant portion of the readings in this course available online through Blackboard, so I hope that you will find that useful. And one of the texts in particular that we will be reading from as sort of a secondary source for us is From Achilles to Christ, Why Christians Should Read the Pagan Classics by L. Marcos. And this text is really phenomenal and a wonderful introduction to classical studies from a Christian standpoint, and I hope that you will benefit from those readings, and I hope that that's something that you can take into your classroom.